So, with yesterday being Ash Wednesday and the beginning of the Christian season of Lent, I thought this would be a good time to show this piece that I made over the winter. It's the Stations of the Cross, right? And so, recently with everything going on in the world, I've taken a different perspective of this piece when I look at it. But just to go over some of the details, the base plate is a ribbon sapele mahogany. The backer where the artwork is, for this reason, it was Kiyaki or Zelkova, which is a Japanese elm, has this beautiful interlock grain pattern. Look at that. Okay. And then it's on a cookie cut, so the growth rings are ovular based on the growth of the tree. The pith has been removed, but the lines grow up through the piece, adding some depth to it. And the movement of the grain adds some depth to the skin of the characters, right? Where I used my pyrography tool to dye them just ever so slightly different colors. And the reason for that, like a slave, he would have been outside all day, right? Working at behest of the Romans, okay? And a guy with the wealth of Joseph Arimathea most likely had a country retreat with, a garden or farm, right? And also a house in the city. So he would have been outside a little bit differently, but more than perhaps a commoner like a Simon of Cyrene, right? So, and to separate them, I gave them that, a different color. And Jesus is slightly different in the sense that, I'm trying to grasp that olive colored skin, because that's what these gentlemen would have looked like. They lived in the Mediterranean. Okay, they didn't look like Irish people. So the ribbon mahogany I like here just because of the it's like the sand shimmering up through his feet, right? But the thing that has struck me recently when I look at this, right, and I see the centurion back here, and after watching the State of the Union, and I was looking at this morning, and I thought to myself, Nancy Pelosi's maiden name is D'Alessandro, so maybe this is 80th generation centurion D'Alessandro, standing in the back, sucking on his dentures that were made from the skulls of defeated enemies. Sorry for that, but I mean, God, if I have to watch that woman suck on her dentures one more time during a speech, I just can't understand how someone worth all the money she's worth, married to the greatest stock trader of all time, that she can't afford Polydent. But let's get into more of the impact of what I see here, other than the religious side, right? So, think the Romans. They believed in pagan gods, right? They did not acknowledge the God of Abraham. So strictly based on that, for them and Pontius Pilate, this has nothing to do with religion. This is a strictly political assassination, because Jesus had followers, and when he was claiming to be the king of the Jews, they weren't looking at that from a religious or biblical standpoint. They didn't acknowledge that. They were looking at it from a purely political standpoint, and that this man was a rabble rouser and created a threat to their power, right? Same thing with the Sanhedrin. It would have been the same, although the Jews and the rabbis believed that he was a blasphemer, that he was not the Son of God, right? They don't believe in that, in the resurrection. And, when you look at this from a broader scale, okay, he would have been a political assassination from the Roman perspective, and a religious and political assassination from the Sanhedrin and the Jews' perspective, because of the same reasons. He threatened their power. He threatened their authority. He was challenging their way of life. He was challenging their thoughts, right? So there's a lot going on here just from that perspective. Now, take a step back and look again, and put this into the perspective of, this was roughly 2,000 years ago, okay? And this moment in history has defined some of the most major historical conflicts of all time that we still witness today, okay? If you are not familiar with why the Israelis and the Palestinians and the Muslims are fighting in the Middle East, goes back to this moment in history, right here. This is where it all started, right here. Okay? And that is just mind-blowing. All right? Now, this piece is 15 and a half inches tall. Okay? This piece here in the back is 2¼ thick. It's a thickie, and it's got some weight to it. Okay? But, I mean, this is totally for sale. I've been running some numbers. It's actually interesting. I've been learning about AI and different things. So I threw the dimensions, the species, and the picture into ChatGPT, and it estimates the value at $600 to $1,200. Okay, now, pigs get fed, right? And hogs get slaughtered, right? That's an old business term. So if you're interested in this piece, you know, there's the range of what ChatGPT thinks it's worth based on market details and such. You know, but I mean, 600 sounds fair in my mind. But then again, I mean, I'd rather sell this to somebody who's going to look at it and appreciate it and display it and talk about it. And you can have this video to show your friends when they ask, well, what is this? You can say, oh, well, here, watch Tom tell you all about it. So listen, I mean, you know, it's a magnificent piece, and it's totally available for sale. Then you can comment below.